you. The recent assassination of Charlie Kirk has sparked a lot of discussion about political violence.
District Attorney Summer Stephan joining us now to talk more about its impact on public service. Summer, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Let's talk about this. A prosecutor's role when it comes to political violence. What exactly is the role?
Is to stand ready and take swift action that makes it clear that we're not going to let someone attack. It's not just an attack on a human being, which is bad enough, but it's an attack on the fundamental freedom of religion, freedom of speech, everything that we believe in. It's the core of democracy. If people get murdered for what they say, what they believe, for having a political office, that begins to just derail our democracy. So I liked what I saw, the prosecutors taking swift action, taking a stand and not mincing words on what needs to be done.
Not mincing words, and we had so much detail from that prosecutor in Utah yesterday, right? Was that a normal thing for you guys to give that much information and that many details?
Well, it was more information, but it was probably in different warrants, so it allowed the prosecutor to speak. But I think when the prosecutor says the investigation is continuing, it is. And the reason is that what we find is that people are being radicalized online. So there are more people potentially out there that have instigated and potentially criminally helped make this happen. So you always have to continue your investigation. It shouldn't stop, because who knows if this group online is gonna get somebody else radicalized.
You talk about these politicians, and many of them speaking out, doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, and they're worried, and I'm curious to know, locally here in San Diego, do you have the number, do you get reports about our local politicians here?
Yes, our office has a special operations division, and one of our jobs is to make sure that threats against political figures, or just, you know, figures that are speaking, that are part of the judges, different politicians, even if they're not a politician, if there's an attack on them, those threats get referred to us. We help the individual with threat assessment to keep them safe, while looking whether that threat rises to the level of a criminal prosecution.
But is it common here in San Diego?
It's very common. Over 70% of political figures have been threatened, and at least have threats that we've had to look at and see if they cross that line. You know, threats that, the problem is that we respect the First Amendment, so people can show that they don't like somebody, but if they are making an imminent threat of harm, that's when we jump in and we bring prosecutions. We try to keep them low key, because people are looking to be glamorized, and we don't want to glamorize them. You know, I never talk about the shooters' names, because they don't matter. What matters is, you know, Charlie Kirk or Melissa Hartman in Minnesota, who was murdered in her home for her job in the assembly. That's unacceptable.
You mentioned a lot about social media, and it seems like that has emboldened a lot of people to become more brave than they would be otherwise. But we've seen a lot of these threats, seemingly more of them turning into action, whereas before it's like threats, sure, bomb threats here. But now are more people acting on these threats? Why do they feel so emboldened by social media, by this radicalization that you mentioned?
So before, we used to look at somebody belonging to a group like KKK or something. Now your group can be anybody in the dark web online, and they are encouraging you every day with messages. We saw that with our Poway synagogue shooter. He had a nice family. He was radicalized within 1 year online to commit murder. And that's what, when we pull the curtain, that's what we see. So I think my number one message is that most people who are gonna commit murder leak a little bit of that information. What I'm calling on San Diego community to do is don't take any threat lightly. Please report it. We have the San Diego Law Enforcement Coordination Center where you can file a suspicious activity threat or call the FBI or call our office, because we can at least look behind the curtain, look at open source media, do search warrants, and try to stop a threat before it happens.
The ability to disagree and to debate each other is the foundation of what this country is all about. It should never get to that point, no matter what certain people's beliefs are.
Absolutely
and
never.
That's kind of the point of all. District Attorney Summer Stephan, we thank you, as always, for the conversation. Good to see you.
Thank you.